I've really wanted to do this for ages, right? But I'm absolutely bricking it. So just bear with us, right? And they had to put me on last, obviously. Right, so I've sat here and I've thought about this deeply. Now, when I wrote this, I had £2.80 in my bank. Now I've got nothing. So anyway, I've sat and I've thought about this deeply. As there have been many times in my life, I've experienced poverty, but in a number of different ways. As I sit here and write this article, I have £2.80 to my name, a quarter pint of milk, and a half a loaf of bread to last us over a week. Like I said, I ain't got that now. You hit rock bottom when you really have nothing. The bills are unpaid. What more can I say? Red letters galore. The bailiffs are braying down the door. I feel rotten to the core. The brown envelopes come through the door. They want to know more. Why can't they see this is just destroying me? I scribble away and hope they won't take my benefits away. I got sanctioned for missing one appointment because of my mental health I was suffering. So if I look back when poverty started for me, it was the age of 14. I was taken into local authority care. Me and my mum had a relationship breakdown over the fact she'd left me dad for domestic abuse, but yet she stayed with me stepdad. He went to punch me mum, and I stepped in the way, but my mum got it. I was put in a children's home. I didn't attend school for over a year, but yet I was predicted A's and B's in my mock exams. I left school with no GCSEs. I was in care for 2 years, where I'd never touched a drug or smoked in my life until I ended up in the system. I got arrested at the age of 14 for possession with the intent to supply a Class A drug in a children's home. My name was tainted again. I was abused sexually in the system, a place where I was meant to feel safe and protected, which carried on when I left. My own family didn't believe me. Again, my name was tainted with the shame the trauma it brought. I was sent back to live with my mum at 15 and a half, but there was no relationship. No one had helped us build it back. So basically I was dumped, abandoned. It lasted a week at my mum's. My dad didn't want us. He prioritised his relationships. So luckily my dad's second wife took us in for a few months. I wouldn't go to school. I was out all hours, started smoking pot all the time. My 16th birthday, I was staying at my dad's. He called us up from work, told me to pack my bags and get out. Happy fucking birthday, Ashley. My mum was in Greece, again, abandoned, tainted. I was homeless. I was working 3 jobs. Chip shop on the seafront at Whitley Bay, £3 an hour. Cleaning bed and breakfast first thing in the morning and working as a waitress at night. I had no choice. Social services didn't help us. They left me to fund bed and breakfast for myself, or to be on the streets, where I'd be sleeping with random men to have a roof over my head when I was 16. I was an easy target on the streets. I remember a bed and breakfast I stayed in, where the owner's son asked me if I would like some cannabis resin. I agreed. I'd never had it. I'm naive. It was heroin. I didn't even know. At the age of 17, I had my first nervous breakdown, and I ended up on my first section under the Mental Health Act. I cracked up with the pressure, but then again, my name's tainted again. I hit 18. I was still smoking pot and taking as many ecstasy pills as I could get my hands on. I was living in supported accommodation. No one helped. Instead, I was just tainted again. I got arrested on a regular basis for drinking disorderly or breach of the peace. Again, my name was tainted. I fell pregnant with my daughter, and social services were eager to help because guess what? I was tainted. In other words, I wasn't good enough to be a mother because of the trauma I'd experienced at the hands of the people that were meant to protect me the most. I had my daughter in 2005 and my son 11 months later. I had really bad postnatal depression, so I started taking drugs. Again, luckily I had my mum who stepped in and took my children. But I was left. I'd started taking heroin, crack cocaine, after my children were taken. I didn't know how to be a mum. I wasn't shown a mother growing up. So how the hell did I know how to be one? So my kids were now in the system, the same as I was. I was left with £52 a fortnight to survive on. Electric, gas, food. Started shoplifting again, sleeping with random men. Remember, I've got a habit to feed. I remember going into a shop and robbing the fake £10 note from behind the counter and using it on the bus and getting £9 back. I had to survive. I went for help in 2007, asked for a counsellor, not a methadone script. I didn't have a habit, I was dabbling, but they insisted on a script. Just made us worse. I tried rapid detox, and after 6 months on a script, but I just couldn't do it. Luckily, I ended up in a mental health hospital, and I came off heroin and methadone 19 years ago. I went on to have 2 more boys with my second partner. They ended up adopted in the system because I refused to press charges on their dad for a fight we had when the kids weren't even in the house. But realistically, they didn't want to give us a second chance to keep my sons. As remember, I'd lost my older 2 children. Remember, I've got a label, I'm not allowed to change who I am. My sons went to live with my uncle's wife, who then went on to physically, mentally and emotionally abuse me boys. I knew this was happening, and every time I tried to be heard by social workers and even the director of social services, I was told I was mentally unstable. No, it's because of my past. They didn't want to believe me. And through that, my boys were abused at the hands of the system, the same as I was. My boys went on to be adopted, and I still wasn't given a chance. So when I really look back at the generational of where this cycle of poverty within my family began, when my grandmother was a child, my grandmother was one of 10 children and lived in London in 1939. Her mother was an alcoholic and couldn't care for her children, so she abandoned them and left them with their dad. He couldn't cope, so they went into care. My grandmother went on to have 5 children with my granda, and she fostered children as well. But my grandmother's youngest ended up with a drug addiction and went to live with family. So the cycle continues. My mum had me and was in domestic abuse and drugs. When my mum had me in the 80s, you see, domestic abuse wasn't really heard of. So I witnessed a lot, and as a result, I have generational trauma, which has led to a lot of wrong decisions in relationships. My mum put me in care in 2000, where the cycle continues. I was brought up in care, but not protected. Then I, myself, have 6 children to 3 different men, all of who have displayed domestic violence. I've engaged in addiction and learned behaviour from generational trauma. So if you ask me again, what has poverty done to my life? It's taken me family, it's taken me children, it's destroyed years and generations of my family by not putting intervention in place in the beginning to prevent generations of poverty within families years to come.